Hi there, welcome to another Lawrence University Career Center podcast. I'm Ty Collins, and today we're joined by Awa Badiane from the Lawrence class of 2021. She's the executive in residence for advancingdiversity.org, which is part of Media Village, the industry's leading market intelligence, content marketing, and business connections platform. Hi there, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So what is advancingdiversity.org?
Advancingdiversity.org is a Media Village-based platform that works to connect an intersectional network of professionals, educators, and nonprofits to advance diversity in the media, marketing, and advertising industry. That's our one-liner, but to be more in layman's terms, we have different professionals and educators and writers and journalists that all fall into historically marginalized groups, and they create news about the media, marketing, and advertising industry as a way to promote what's happening in the industry and for the sake of advancing diversity. So one of the news stations is Ask Gen Z with Kelly. And so she will feature our member companies that have Gen Z workers and that have Gen Z workers from diverse backgrounds, ask them about their experience with their company, ask them how they find their job for the sake that other Gen Zs can listen to that and say, oh, wow, I actually really like that. I can follow this same path, or I can reach out to this person that was featured in the Ask Gen Z podcast and then make a connection from there.
Now, you got this job in a rather unique way. Tell us about that.
I found Media Village through the Advancing Diversity Week that I'm actually in charge of right now. It's being rebranded more recently, so we're separating ourselves from calling it a week because we want to be more of a yearly program. But either way, I found it through our Advancing Diversity Week. I was just scrolling through the Posse job board site, and I was like, oh, I really have no prospects, nothing to do. And there was the event. It was called a Gen Z town hall where Gen Zers were allowed to go to major company leads, like Byron Allen was there, the CMO of Citi was there, like just major people who run the media, marketing, and advertising industry were all there and present. And then Gen Zers were able to go and ask questions. And I was like, oh, I'm definitely signing up for this. This is a great networking event. I'm going to meet lots of people, and hopefully this is how I get a job. So in the event, I asked the major CEOs and people that were there, what can someone who is a recent grad do to gain the attention of your company? And in that, I got a bunch of answers, but none of them led to a career. But it did catch the eye of the CEO of my company that I currently work at. He's like, wow, I actually really like the question. And it seems as if you're asking that question, you're not currently employed. Let's talk more. And so we chatted more, and then the rest is history. And now I'm in charge of that event.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's a great example of networking for sure. Just going to an event and you never know
right.
what it's going to lead to.
Right.
Can you talk about what is the most rewarding part of your work? Maybe what's frustrating about it, and where do you see this job eventually leading?
I think the most rewarding part of my job is kind of getting back to my roots in diversity work and being able to knowing that what I'm doing is helping someone else at the end of the day, that knowing that this has a greater purpose than myself, that what I'm doing is bigger than just, okay, yes, I'm on my computer typing, but what I'm actually doing is actually helping, is actually creating more diversity into the media, marketing, and advertising space, which is very important because it goes into a bigger thing. Like the people who control the media, control marketing, control what we see every day, they should be diverse. They should be more representative of what everyone looks like. What I do is bigger than myself. I'm realizing that it's important for diverse people to be put within the media, marketing, and advertising industry because they create everything that we see on a daily basis, which creates our bias, which creates how we think of things. So I think it's very important. And I think what's most frustrating about my job is that it's completely remote. And that's not the best, especially when you start a job that's completely remote. You don't really get to know people in the company. So I would say that if you are looking to start your first career, like ask yourself, is something remote good for me? Is that what's going to work? I kind of got used to the remote life after my end of my junior year, and most of my senior year was completely remote. So that's become my way of navigating the world. But I would say it's been a little bit difficult. I've met everyone in person. We've had a few in-person events. So I've been able to go in and say, hi, you have legs, and actually see someone. But I think remote life is not all that it's hyped up to be.
Do you think at some point you might be able to spend more time in the office and the remote stuff might go away?
I think my company has actually switched to be completely remote.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So I think once COVID hit, they were just like, okay, yeah, no, we're not going to play with the spikes that keep going up and down, especially because we're in New York.
Yeah, definitely. I think in a big urban area like that,
Mhm.
you've got some different challenges than a place like Appleton would have.
Right.
What about the future? Where do you go after this? And I know you're not actively looking right now, but someday you'll be doing something else. What do you think that might be?
Well, my main focus when I was first looking was looking into nonprofits. So kind of maybe going back into that realm of nonprofits that focus on things that are not just broad in a way that Media Village is, because Media Village covers a lot, but more specific nonprofits, like things that work on the environment as well, but still staying within the communications sphere. So if I do work at a nonprofit, I'll probably be like a communications advisor, a communications director, hopefully.
Well, you've got a lot of options, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A question I like to ask all my guests is, how did your time at Lawrence help prepare you for your current job? Especially in your case, you had a lot of outside the classroom experience in terms of internships and student activities and student orgs. Do you feel like the outside experience was a better prep for the working world, or was it the classroom, or was it both?
I think it was both. I think the classroom experience definitely gave me a lens so that when I'm working, I can approach things from a critical thinking lens. So I'm able to think things through, and I'm able to think of the implications of the work that I'm doing on a larger scale than just like kind of just myself. But definitely a lot of the outside of the classroom work. I was involved in a lot of diversity programs on campus. So I was president of BSU, I was co-chair of CODA, and even in the internships that I did, I would say, a coordinator for the Women's Equality Party in London, where I studied abroad there. And definitely the work that I did with communications definitely made me realize that, okay, I want to stay within the communications field and within this industry. I think if you combine all of those pieces that I got from each outside of the classroom experience that I had, I think it makes up the current job that I have. I work in an advancing diversity space for a media company. That's everything that I did, just packaged into one little perfect bow. So I think it definitely helped.
You specifically mentioned your involvement with CODA and BSU. Given the nature of your job now, how did your experience with those student organizations help you navigate some of the diversity and inclusion issues we are seeing in the workplace?
I think it's made me come to things with a different lens. I think it's allowed me to understand that work has to be done. And, sometimes you have to be the person to do the work and to make the progress for change. So it's also allowed me to be more vocal in meetings and when we're planning events. So for example, with the event that I'm in charge of planning right now, we were looking at where to host the event and just like little details about the event. And I have an extensive amount of experience in event hosting and event planning through CODA and through BSU. So I've been able to pull on those skills and then also pull on the knowledge that came from being in those positions, being part of those organizations that, okay, yes, we can do this, but if we do this, what happens? Like, for example, we're creating a poster yesterday for our more younger crowd where we want like late college students and early grads to submit their resumes to our website, because when you submit your resume, we give their resume to our member companies, which is like top media companies. So you'll have direct access to those media companies, which is a great thing. But when we were creating the poster, the person I was working with made the words on the poster really, really small. And I was like, oh, wait, back when I was in CODA, when we were making a poster, we had to remember to be, as inclusive as possible, to make sure that people who are visibly impaired can read the poster. So let's actually make these words bigger, because you'll never know if someone is visibly impaired or just has some form of disability where they actually can't see words that small. Let's be as inclusive as possible. They're like, oh, wow, that was great input. Where did you, I would have never thought of that. Yeah, I was in CODA.
Yeah, that's a great example. What about the professional workplace surprised you? Is there something that you wish Lawrence had told you or taught you that they didn't?
I think what surprised me most was the freedom. I guess I kind of got used to being a student and having a professor kind of just there to email me all the time. Hey, this was due. Oh, I didn't even notice. And then, but now it's more, you kind of just have to create your own schedule and things are on your own, but you just have to make sure that you get everything done. And that surprised me the most because I thought it would be more, this is very strict and you have no room for freedom, but there's a lot of freedom in the professional space.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple of times from graduates. Mm-hmm. I've also heard that you get used to being so busy with 4 years of Lawrence that once you're at work, you're unaccustomed to all the free time that they have, and they don't know how to fill it. Did you experience that too?
Definitely. I was definitely part of the Lawrence busy. I definitely was always in either a meeting or doing work or studying or just trying to be social. And I think that just comes with being on a college campus. You understand that there's a time limit here. You want to get the most out of it. So you try to do 1,000,004,000,004 things at the same time. But when it comes to the real world, you're kind of just like, there's not really a time limit on this. So I'm really just working and just can exist. There's no need to do a billion things at the same time, but then I feel the need to have to do a billion things at the same time because that's where my comfort is. I find myself kind of bored. I work my job when I finish my work, which is usually around 6-ish. Now what? There's no meeting after this. I don't have to run to Common to get there before they close. I can eat whenever I want. Yep. So I've just been trying to fill the time with hobbies and
I remember, I think a lot of our appointments when you were a student were kind of later in the day and you'd come in there different times and just like drop your bag on the floor. I'm exhausted. This is killing me.
Class is done. Now time to think about my future. But now it's just like I'm in that future and there's no class before. So that before part doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. One thing a lot of seniors expect is that they expect they should have a job waiting for them right after graduation. Graduate on Sunday, go to work on Monday. That's not really how it usually works for almost everyone. It took you a couple months to find this job after you graduated. What would you tell students who are approaching graduation and don't have a position lined up yet?
There's this thing called like post-grad depression, where I don't think I necessarily experienced it, thankfully, but I think, or at least I think what it looks like is when you don't have something lined up and you start to get really anxious about it not being lined up, especially when fall rolls around again and you've become so accustomed to, okay, fall is your season of change. Fall is when you start something new. Fall is when I go into a new year. Fall is when I go into a new school year. I start a new job. Something new always happens for you in the fall. And then for me, when it started to roll around fall, okay, right after graduation, June, oh yeah, I'm going to take this time off, relax, decompress from Lawrence. July, okay, there's still money in my savings account. I'm okay. Like, this is going to be fine. August, okay, September is right there. I'm getting a little nervous. And in September, you still don't have something lined up. Okay, we're panicking. This is when we start to panic. The money in the savings account is completely gone and there's nothing lined up and there's no prospects. I'm scared. But there's no need to be. There's truly, truly no need to be. Everything that is meant for you will come to you. You've prepared so much for this. You literally have a degree now. Your opportunities have expanded tenfold. You just have to do some of the research and to find what's the best position for you. I think that's kind of where I fell into it. I got really, really anxious and started to panic. Like, it's already September, the school year has started and I still don't have anything lined up. Like, I'm such a failure. Like, what was this degree even for? And I started to get really into spiraling, but you did the work already. You have the degree already. You just have to like go show it to someone and say, hey, I have these accolades and I'm here, ready to work. Please accept me. And they will accept you with open arms. The real world will accept you with open arms and you will be just fine. No need to panic, no need to do anything. And even if you have to go back to your one summer job that you did at the cafe to make ends meet, I understand that. And don't feel bad about doing that. That's still very valid.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything just tends to work itself out like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
In the end, maybe not on our timetable that we think it should, but it does. People be listening to this podcast at all different times, including, approaching graduation. For students pursuing careers in the media, looking for internships or post-graduation jobs, what is the best way to spend their time now? What should they be doing while they're still a student?
I think one of the best things I did while I was still a student was find jobs within the media or communications industry. I knew I wanted to be in that field. I had an idea of wanting to be in that field when I first came to Lawrence, but I noticed that there was no major there. So, I mean, if you can make your own major, definitely do it. Like try to take as many classes to gain those skills as possible. I took a bunch of art classes, film classes, and classes to just try to gain as many skills for media, but mostly finding jobs, even within Lawrence. Like my job was within Lawrence. I worked for the communications office, and then internships outside of Lawrence that really can help you to get those hard skills that, because Lawrence will prepare you with all the soft skills that you need for anything, but then to get those hard skills of being able to write, being able to edit a video, being able to, copyright for a post on a social media platform, you'll be able to gain those hard skills at an internship program, or you can do them on your own. Like, I think that's the beautiful thing about our generation when it comes to working in this industry, that we have our cell phones on our fingertips. If you want to be an influencer today, you can start today.
Before we wrap things up today, is there anything else you think folks listening to this while they're still in school should know?
Well, I'll leave you with two pieces of advice. If you're still a student, one, enjoy it. College is fun. You end up missing it. You think while you're in Lawrence, like, oh, everything, I hate everything. This all sucks. It's because you have 4 papers due, you have 12 meetings to go to, and you have like a class that you're near failing and it's making you a little bit nervous, but enjoy it. It's fun. It all adds to your canvas of memories when you look back and go like, college was fun. College was a lot of fun. That'll be my first piece of advice. Enjoy it and just have fun while you're in school. And then 2, network while you're in school. Build that network. Find people, make sure your LinkedIn is up to date with all your experiences and how a nice photo of yourself there, and reach out to people. Reach out to me. I will definitely respond. It might take me a while. My inbox is pretty full, but I will definitely respond. Reach out to the Lawrence Network, connect with other programs, look for fellowships and programs and internships that you, in industries that you're interested in. Connect with the Lawrence Network on LinkedIn, visit the Career Center, visit Viking Connect is a great platform to make those connections because you have a direct link to Lawrence alums and they're all there to help you, which is why they're part of the program. So definitely reach out and connect with them. Also visit Handshake to find internships and fellowships within the industry that you're interested in. I got my job through networking. I got my job through, hey, I see you, I know you, and I like the work that you're able to do. Please come work for me. Yes, will do.
Yeah, I mean, just you walked up to someone at an event and just started talking, and that's how so many of these things happen. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I really appreciate all the advice and the information you have to share. And you mentioned that you are on LinkedIn, so students, if you would like to reach out, they can find you right there.
Yes.
All right. Thank you again so much for joining us on the Career Center podcast.
Thank you.